Okay, there we go. Sorry about the delay on hand. But alright. Hello, everybody. This is episode 48 of Shoot the Breeze, a chill interview and chill time all around for you and me. I'm your host, HeavyDivider. Alongside me here is a really swell individual. As a matter of fact, he is really cool, calm, and collected, as well as somebody you can always have a good time talking about a little bit of anything on hand. So, my guest for today here is Akula. Welcome on in, Akula.
Howdy.
Yeah, welcome.
Howdy. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, not a problem.
It's,
Let me switch this camera over here, because that way, it's because of how close I am to the bar. Here, I'll do it right. I'll do it right here. There we go. Now I can. Yeah, now I can move around.
Gonna be?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Good on hand. But yeah, so let me ask you the first question I have on hand. How the hell did we meet?
I honestly, I think this is the first time we've actually ever met in VR. I mean, I met you through the team, but you know various people in VRChat, like, you know, Puppers, you know, Azdesu, some other folks in books. So we probably have seen each other, but I never fully got to know you until the team started. This is, I think, a first for us both, really.
Oh yeah, and the thing is too is the fact that over that time or course on hand or so, I didn't even realize there'd be certain stuff we would actually be interested in. Which, understand, I play ARPGs for the most part. I didn't matter what kind of game it is on hand, but I didn't know you actually play like Inquisitor Martyr.
Oh, I mean, I've always been a big 40k bro. I mean, a lot of my friends brought me into it. I've never been into the models, I'll admit, because it's a very, very expensive hobby, as you know. I mean, that stuff can go hundreds of thousands of points. You can spend hundreds onto them. I mean, how much is oh god, like a Titan? You know how like the regular Titan, especially like 300 quid. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's an investment that I really can't afford to put into. But when it comes to things like audio books, things like well, I do have a few models, I'll admit, but 40k has been a massive interest of mine, like most Grimdark things, but 40k, it's got a special, how do I say it? It's a special interest.
Yeah.
It does a lot of things right, and it's so over the top of it. It just has to be interesting.
No, I got you. No, I got you on hand, and it's what. Trust me when I say this, and this is no exaggeration on hand. Basically, Warhammer lore stretches back to 1980s on hand. So basically, if you're trying to catch up with with Warhammer lore on hand, you've got a good 30 to 40 years to catch up on. Just saying, like it has like different universes, different ones you're familiar with, like 40k or basically the one that Vermintide 2's in. So,
Age of Sigmar.
Age of Sigmar. Yep, there you go.
That is. Personally, I've never been massive into Age of Sigmar. Of course, apart from Vermintide, but I mean, Total War set in it as well. The recent one.
Yeah,
that's been.
I was gonna say.
I've never really been into it myself.
I was gonna say there's a brand new one coming out that you might be interested in. It's called Dark Tide. It's basically yeah. Put it this way, that one.
Yes.
That one.
Yes.
That's a good one coming out.
I cannot wait. I need it. Oh, could do the thing, but anyway.
No, you're good.
I mean, I'm seriously. Have you seen the announcement trailer? Like,
yes, I saw the announcement trailer on hand.
The gameplay.
Besides melee, you got guns.
That shit, absolutely up my alley. I'm so ready for it. I know a lot of people are as well. But how did you get into 4?
How do I get into Warhammer? Or
how did you get into?
Basically, I got into Warhammer. Funny enough, actually, funny enough, allegedly a long time ago, there was somebody who briefly mentioned about Warhammer to me. Basically, this was like before I even got into VRC, before I even started streaming and everything. They briefly mentioned to me. I didn't really pay no attention to it. And then a person by the name of Nocti Emperor came along and basically said, "Hey, would you like to learn a little bit about Warhammer?" Well, here you go. Threw me an entire Wikipedia page at me. And basically,
oh my god!
And then basically through that or so, I learned about different games on hand. Like through him, I learned about Inquisitor Martyr. For him, I learned about Vermintide 1 and 2, and those have been like my main game, like kind of like some of the games I go back to play because they're really fun multiplayer wise to play with on hand.
I have yet to play openly. I've yet to play Vermintide. I really would like to, but man, it's definitely a party game in like a weird sense.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, you definitely would not want to play it alone, which also something else too. When I get a chance, I've got a list of games from Warhammer I want to play, including Dawn of War 1 and 2.
Oh, yes. Void 3.
Yeah, I know. I heard bad things, but I'm avoiding 3 anyways.
You know all about it? You know,
I know. I already know all about it. So.
But yeah, Dawn of War 1 and 2, incredible games. In fact, gosh, I need to start replaying those as well. You got me thinking now. But yeah, I mean, I started initially getting into it. 40k was in fact with a couple of real life buddies with me. Took me down to a local games workshop. It was my first interaction with the franchise, like at large, and they introduced me to actually like playing the tabletop. Granted, I was terrible with roles and terrible with understanding it at first, but they got me down. They started playing the board game, and I stayed there with them for the majority of the day. And then we started doing, not what was it? Is it death squads, kill squads? The smaller. Started doing some of that, and that was my entryway into the franchise at large. I'm saying what? It's stuck with me ever since because I love, the Space Hulk one, Deathwatch.
Oh,
that's a ton of fun.
Space Hulk Deathwing.
Granted, yeah, Deathwing. That's the one.
Yeah.
I'm huge into stuff like that. Although, granted, I'm not a Blue Angel lover personally.
Well, the only thing I know about
I don't know which one you're into.
I've played Space Hulk Deathwing, and the only thing I know about it is the fact that you can get through some waves on hand, but then the game has its fun way of reminding you better haul ass out of it because they're gonna say more waves on it that it will lag your entire game and computer.
Oh, thankfully the enhanced edition does remove some of those issues, but oh my god, they as soon as you get halfway through the game, they will throw everything at you. It is insane.
Very insane. Just very insane on hand. Let me ask you about your VRChat origins if I can on hand. What got you into this game in general, or what kind of got you right into basically playing it for the first time?
So, I mean, my entryway into VRChat was also through another friend of mine. May or not play it anymore, but I started playing with a friend of mine called It's Slick, another one of mine called Coach Broom. Two very, very close real-life buddies of mine. They invited me to start trying the game. I tried on desktop originally. I have probably got 400 hours on desktop alone. I've only recently been headset using, like no more than 60-70 hours by chance. But I started back when it was, oh gosh, I say fresh out of launch, in a sense, the earlier stages of the launch.
I got you.
I was never a beta tester or anything like that.
I got you. Because I remember like the early times on hand.
With Steam.
I was gonna say, I just remember the early times on hand before they even had like a website and everything. You basically logged in for Steam. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I think I was the 4 digits at the end of your name. I started with that as well.
Yeah.
And then only recently I migrated everything over to their official site, which is, well, thankfully I kept that thing.
But yeah. No, I got you. I mean, hey, put it this way. Everybody's got like a humble start on hand when it comes to like this game in general. Sometimes it could be for a YouTube video. Sometimes it could be for like a website ad or something. You know, it just comes at you when you least expect it on hand for the most part.
I don't think I've ever seen a website ad for it.
I've heard people who basically found this through Facebook.
Through Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook had ads for it. Yeah, Facebook actually had ads for VRC. I kid you not.
I have never heard of it. That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty much how it is for the most
part. On the Steam store, and they mentioned it to me. That's the only way I knew of it.
But yeah, I was gonna say at least for that or so. And plus, you're getting right back into it, so you got like a lot of things to catch up on. But you're in a good time to be able to see a lot of things here and there. A lot of good things. So, but let me ask about your hobbies on hand besides this game in general. Now, I put a few things on there. One of them being, of course, Apex Legends. One of them...
Of course, Apex, yeah.
One of them I've been suggested on to play, which I never got a chance to because I've been busy with other things, being GTFO.
Yes. In fact, only recently they did a new update, didn't they? For like another level at the bottom, which is, I've seen the trailers. They look fucking terrifying, and I love it. I've been playing it on and off with Whisper.
Yeah, I know
and
Whisper.
Senny. We've been doing stuff like that, as well as Jeffy Bed. We've been doing their bits, but it's mostly been offline now. We didn't really want to do it on stream, but I kind of want to continue it.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
just for giggles, if anything, because it is a massively immersive game.
Yeah, very immersive, and it's one of those things where basically you gotta have some stealth with it while going into it as well. Like, just plan attacks and just everything in general.
Just guns in.
Just guns in. As Oxford just said, he however doesn't learn game through it on hand. Something about that? Or
I can learn game. I'm good at game.
yeah, just take some time on hand. Trust me.
I have my moments. Yeah, I have some moments. Not many of them, but they do exist.
I mean, anything can happen. Trust me. Trust me when I say things can throw a curveball.
By a leopard tanking squad. It's great.
Yeah, and like I said, games sometimes can throw a curveball when you least expect it. That's the folly of it.
Like the new Star Wars single player one, Fallen Order. Curveballs.
Curveballs after curveballs. Just a lot of them.
It's a ton of them. I mean, in terms of hobby stuff, admittedly, I don't have too many. It's a case of, like you said, Apex, massive streaming as well, things like that. We all do that. But I do a lot of airsoft. Well, a lot of I've
Oh, you do airsoft?
Yeah. It's great fun.
Did not know.
A local place near me, like 20 for a session of 3 hours towards the end of the day. 'Cause if I'm working one day and they finish at like 11, it's just that little interval. If I've not got anything planned, it is perfect. It's a slide-in slot. I just go and do airsoft with some of my real-life buddies. It's great. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and that's...
Although apart from the time when you get shot by a BB, it bounces underneath your mask and goes straight at your eye. That's not great.
Oh, BBs.
Not great at all. Yeah.
No,
I've had that one last time. That was something. Oh.
No, trust me. I know all the things about BBs in general. I've got an indent on my stomach.
Oh.
I know the feeling. Trust me. It's not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
Not great on him.
Not great at all.
Still waiting for the cook. Yeah, still waiting for the cooking stream on it. I didn't know you had like a bet on him for that.
I've well, like you say, I'm trying to be chef. So eventually, sometime down the line, if I ever get a chance to own my own place, because housing prices in my area are astronomical, as you guys probably guess. But whenever I get a chance to make my own place, get everything sorted on my end, I might start doing some cooking streams just for funsies.
Yeah.
It'd be like a little segment. I've teased and mentioned it, as a passing idea, and it would be nice. It'd be nice to actually do. It'd be something a little bit more informal. I got to do a bit of teaching.
Yeah,
it'd be fun. I
was gonna say because
it'd be the same as Omega. He could do things like bartending work. Just at home. This is how you make such and such, or this, that, and the other, like on a table for an audience. The same with me, just teaching how to cook a
thing is,
leg of lamb or something.
It's best to basically work with it as a hobby first, and then basically, if you enjoy it as a hobby, if you want to basically take it up to like a professional level or so, you can on hand, because there's a friend of mine by the name of MT who cooks as a hobby. Like, he cooks as a hobby for the most part, and he enjoys it a lot with it. Like, he makes some very excellent stuff that sometimes he even shows off his craft on hand, like throughout, like pictures and everything. And trust me, it's one of those things where you just gotta basically work with it on hand. You just gotta work with it on hand first, and then if you enjoy it or so and want to take it to a professional level, have fun with it along the way, because the likelihood you don't have fun with it is the moment that you lose interest in even doing what you enjoy.
Exactly, yeah. Which is, I'll openly admit it's been the kind of balancing act when it comes to learning to be, or do it as a profession, is at what point does your passion as a hobby for cooking, because I'm a hobby cook, I'm a passion cook, start moving away from that original idea to the professional workspace? and it's a very, very thin line to work with. But if you know what you're doing, and you know what you want to do, the end goal can still be a passion project, and can still be a hobby, because you don't have to stop enjoying it for the sake of reputation. I don't cook for a reputation. I cook to make someone happy.
Yeah.
That's the why I do it, and that's the way I want to do it. I'm going to join a kitchen. It won't be like a Michelin star sort of, the Ritz and none of that.
Yeah.
I just want a nice place, maybe like down the road. Have a bistro, an eatery, somewhere where people can come in.
Yeah.
They can sit down, order a drink, and just a wholesome plate of food. With the family, with the friends, for a night. And that to me is what it's about. That to me is soul. That is food for soul, not picture food. Not for me. No. It is not about how it looks. It's about how it tastes, how it makes you feel. If there's soul in the food, that is. You put him on a tangent now. It is.
No, it's all good.
Entirely what I go for.
Yeah,
Which is why I have things like books on, like New Orleans food. I've got, ironically, some food from like Destiny. The Bungie game.
Oh yeah.
They've also got a cookbook. I've got their cookbook, and it's honestly really, really good.
I was gonna say
I've got
because
old Italian recipes to get through.
yeah, because you're making this just to impress yourself with what you can do, and then if you can impress yourself, chances are you might be able to impress everybody else with what you got on hand to be able to share it, and just work with it. So yeah,
that is.
Yep. Yeah, that is what it is for the most part, right there. So, but I was gonna ask. I know about I mentioned about VRChat, and you haven't been on for the VRChat Scene for this. So, I will say this: from where you are right now to where you first originally started, and then you took a break or so, haven't come back to it, and come back now or so. What do you think of the current present of VRChat at this moment? With the way you looked and kind of look around for the most part, and just take everything in. Even if you're coming back for the most part so far.
It's hard to gauge, because I don't nearly have enough hours in the game as many other people, even yourself. I have maybe freeballing a number here, but maybe like 500 to 600 hours. Not nearly enough as 3,000, maybe 4,000. But at least from my experience, going from beginning to
yeah, it's this bar here. That's why I'm trying to back away, because anytime you get to it, it looks like you're stuck from what is, yeah.
But from where it has been to where it is now, I'm not nostalgic, although I do miss the old school stuff. I know VRChat has to evolve. I understand that completely. But I'm not sure when it comes to communities that are doing everything they can to connect together. Because when you go to things like the old school places, like the pub, or things like, what's the other one called?
Presentation room? Or...
Not avatar testing, we don't talk about that. That's
Guys' Night?
itself. But the old school meetup places, like pub, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
They don't bring them up to today's standard, in a sense. It might just be the creators, I understand that, but the assets they use, old assets don't get removed to force them to update. If they're trying to evolve, they do need to recycle the old.
Yeah.
For example, if you were to go for... In fact, speaking of the world we're in right now, the fire over there. I know chat don't see it, but the fire over there, if that was in anywhere else, for example, maybe... just any other world. That would impact FPS. Heavily.
Yeah, definitely.
Or even just basic ragdolls. With the new Udon stuff coming out, they can do so much more with it, but they don't recycle the old stuff to warrant bringing it in. That's why people don't like going to the old world, even though you've made so many memories there. They don't want that to change. Sure, I understand the nostalgia behind it because it's a simple world, but there's nothing there to drive you to come back to it once you've had your friend group go there.
Yeah.
It's sort of same with theme park worlds. I know a lot of people still go to, but they're not evolving. Something needs to keep you wanting to go back with your friends, which is why I like going to worlds like, you know, Deep Blue, don't you? The beach world where you can, you know, physically swim and stuff.
Oh, you're talking about Deep Blue, or
that to me is evolution. You have multiple reasons to go back there, not just the ambience and the fantastic scenery, but it's just good to explore. You have so many reasons to go back. But when you go to the pub, you know what you're in for. Nothing changes. There's nothing new. There's no. It's like no new ragdolls to mess around with. Sure, you can have some friends there, but eventually that thing dries up. You've got to have things that change. Once you've had things there for nearly 3 years, like the pub, I'm going to go back to the block. Well, it's been there for 3 years since the beginning. Nothing's changed. Which is why people now go to different worlds, which are essentially the same thing, but with slightly extra bits and pieces, and it's also slightly bigger.
well,
But that's how simple of a change it can be.
yeah. And I will say, funny enough, there's actually 2 worlds. I mentioned the presentation world. Funny enough, it did get updated. It's just it's under a different format, but made by a person by the name of That One Rebel. And basically, it's same kind of presentation world, just a little bit bigger, and basically you got a lot more room to roam around in here and there. The other one I was going to suggest on is they're actually working on an updated version of the Guy at Night.
Really?
Yes. Basically, it's going to be a little bit more roomy.
Guy at Night,
Yeah, it's not going to be like the one where basically it was like it has so much room where you can explore around and you can't find anybody. It's basically going to have enough room on hand. It's going to be a little bit more kind of forest-like. And funny enough, there's a bunch of packs of wolves that run all the way around that you can actually sit on one of them and basically just kind of like get a good tour and look around, because there's actually mountains and everything you can climb on too.
Yeah, and that is, in an essence, evolution of an old world, which is perfect because they've got the basis and they've improved on what they already had. And people will go back to the new Guy at Night. God, in fact, I might too.
I need to find it again because it's underneath a name.
I forgot about Guy at Night.
I'll have to find it because it's underneath a different name, but it is basically a revived version of the Guy at Night world. So.
In fact, that's what other worlds are going to be updated soon? I don't know them off by heart because, like I said, I've not been around now.
No, it's all good.
The old worlds. I mean, I remember most of the old worlds. If you gave me a thumbnail of an old place, I'd say, yeah, I've been there. I know that place. But they don't do anything new to bring you back. Like Guy and Night's doing. They're improving on an original concept with the new things they have on hand by the devs.
Yeah. And, well, I understand why. It's mostly because with the new Udon thing that they've got going on, where basically everything feels more realistic on it. They're working on different stuff that way it, more creative possibility on it, what they can work with on hand. Sometimes you get lost in that creative process where basically you can make stuff here and there, and then, it's basically just depending on when you can come back to, reviving everything else on hand. Because maybe there may be some things that you don't want to change because they're relics of time, where basically this has a whole lot of memory on hand. To change it is basically to tarnish everything that, I don't know, it's like nostalgic itself, basically. People hold on to nostalgia quite a lot, especially like 2018, like nostalgic on hand.
Oh. I mean, like I said, don't get me wrong, nostalgia's never a bad thing. It can be an anchor for change.
Yeah.
You've got the nostalgia and you've got something to work with, and you build around that concept, which is a good anchor, but that's good nostalgia. But when you are refusing to acknowledge the downs and the parts that you don't need or should change, that's why I've never been much for nostalgia. I've always been hit and miss with it.
No.
When I go to an old world, sure, I have good memories. In fact, I can go back to some of the roller coaster places, and I'll say, yeah, no, I remember doing this. I remember when someone got crazy motion sick. Like, that was hilarious. That was a good memory. But they have to change eventually.
Yeah.
Because you've got to make it more interesting. Add new rides, things like that. Innovate.
Yeah.
In a sense.
No, I feel you.
With the original idea at heart.
And like I said, it takes time for it to come back to it when it gets to it. But it'll be there when it can be there. I promise you that.
Absolutely.
On hand. Let me
Precisely.
Let me ask you about the Vtuber Scene. Now, I don't know when you started being a VTuber on hand, or if you're planning on basically going further beyond to basically like using VC Face just to be able to kind of like, you know, take like a model you have here, convert it into VC Face, and that way when you look around, you know, you can just see what you're seeing on hand. But I was gonna say, when did you start being a VTuber, or what is it like being in the VTuber scene for the most part?
Interestingly, I never started being a VTuber. Right, I'm going to go a little bit of a tangent on itself for this, but when I started doing my streams, I was never anything more than a voice on a picture, a voice on a video. I enjoy, because my inspirations for streaming were like Lyric, Medi, things like Sacriel, you know, people who don't prioritize visuals over the gameplay. I was big into that. I love that stuff. And people always said, "Oh, you know, well, you got a decent voice. You can do stuff like that." I'm like, I could, but there's always been that little bit, that little bit that's nagging away at you, thinking, I'm a very. If you saw me at work, I'm a very, very much movement and vocal guy. I do a lot of moving. Yeah,
I do the same thing too. And I know if I described a lot of stuff with my hands.
Like that was, I felt like that was slightly missing from stream itself. So I've been weighing it up for, you know, give or take maybe the past year and a bit since the pandemic started, of trying to integrate this, I guess, variation of myself as an entity onto the stream. Not just the voice, but something you can visually interpret. Which is why I started fully weighing up. I had second opinions and third opinions and fourth opinions, you know, from my friends and what they wanted to do. Some of them were saying, "Yeah, no, don't do that. Just do face cam." And I'm not. I'll openly admit, despite my personality, I'm not the best with self-confidence, like visually. I'm definitely not big.
No.
I can't do it.
I got you.
But I wanted to show something that I would be comfortable with putting onto a screen and saying, this is how I want you to visualize. Which is why I started putting on the interactive PNGs. And like you said, eventually I would like to put a variation of this character onto VC Face. There are some edits. This is like the beta version of the model, but after some iterations, I eventually would like to put into VC Face. And I understand the difference between like the performance hit of using VC Face in a game, because it can be quite substantial, as you know. And I don't have a 2 PC setup. I have a 1 PC setup. Just over there, look at it, it's just staring at it.
There you go.
But yeah, I would like to put an iteration of this onto the screen. Whenever that'll be, of course. But in terms of being in the community of VTubers, I might share a few opinions with people where it's faced with, I'm happy to be here. But at the same time, I'm not sure I can be comfortable with the connotations that are associated. If you capture it.
No, I got you.
There are certain things on like the VTuber community that I can't fully lean to it. Like for example, if you go by demographic, primarily, it's all like VTuber women, which, don't get me wrong, is great. Like the avatars.
I got you.
But there's so much more you could do. So much more, but they don't explore the variance. Like myself, I mean, I don't want to call myself an outlier, but how many robots? Apart from Whisper and some other things. Not many. Not
many on here, but I have seen a few. There are a few people. You just gotta find them in certain places here. They're like a little bit around in certain areas. So
they're difficult to find because of how saturated the genre is, which is good, you know, good and bad. I personally want to try and be the change this community wants to be, or needs, like a bit of a push towards more creative things. Because if you go through, like, VShojo, let's go for that for next. You've got Melody, you've got Silver Veil, you've got this, and you got Zen, and all these I don't want to sound pedantic, but they're just not as visually exciting as I thought they were going to be. Zen, I like Zen. I love Zen. Same with Melody. Incredible people. Personalities are they're great. I love watching them.
The characters.
Yeah.
No, the characters are something to be.
Yeah.
Zen works with it because she has the geckos.
Yeah.
Melody, full body with displacement. But you've got those few that don't try to vary its. What's the word I'm looking for here? There's a word.
Because I know there's a trend going on with it. There's a certain trend.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a trend, which is I don't like the trend personally. Because when you see a VTuber, what's the first thing you initially think of? You think of an anime girl.
Mm-hmm. No, I know how you feel.
Or yeah, which is the issue with. Also, I just don't like the name YouTube.
Well,
it doesn't feel like. Anyway, that's just.
No, that's all good. It's all good.
Just
All I can tell you as best advice is basically make your own thing with what you want to do, and basically, if you can, just avoid trends. Like, because understand, it's one of these things where I realize where basically, if you base your entire career on a trend and that trend goes away, then what career do you have left?
Yeah.
If you don't evolve out of that for something else. Like, yeah, people would say VTubing is like a trend, but I feel like it's not the VTubing part itself. It's more of the certain trend that people have within the VTubing thing that is the root of many things on hand.
It's like when you go through different types of streams, you've got like pools, hot tubs, you've got cooking streams, you've got music streams. It's just an evolution of entertainment. I think the VTuber community as a whole is a good push forward for entertainment. Because you've got now a new place where people can congregate. Because everyone likes them. Anime and stuff like that has been a massive Western hit. Mecca it's huge. And that's great. And I think the actual concept of doing something like that is a fantastic push forward for entertainment as a whole. But I mean, I'm glad to be in it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm incredibly happy to be in it. I've met some people that I would never have probably met if I stayed the stubborn person that I was with. I was like, I don't want to. That's not for me. It is. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for me to really stretch what creative wings I've got. And I'm more than happy to finally put this idea into format and to show it off.
Yeah.
And this is the only way I would be able to really do it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad.
Yeah, and plus it's also a way where basically, funny enough, even if you basically do like a just chatting thing like with VTubing on stream, or basically if you do a just chatting thing, say like for VRC or so, it's basically the most same kind of concept just because it requires a certain character that you would like to work with or so. Like with VRC and C, it's basically just you can move around here and there or so. Especially when you have a headset. Sometimes with VTubing on, like, say, normal size, it requires a little bit more programming than it requires hardware on how to do it. But...
yeah.
But I could assure you on hand that no matter what way or form or so, the base thing you need to know is that whatever direction you go or so, you're going to have people that basically are going to follow you any way you go. Those are the people who care about... not the person. Well, actually, put it this way. Not the personality. I messed that wording up. Not the personality. not the trait. The individual. They care about the individual.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
They care about the individual more than anything else.
Those people are... I will always appreciate it. The people that have gone through from start to finish. If the finish ever arrives, I hope it doesn't, but you never know, things do happen. When it comes to being in the beginning, the people who always followed you from the start, because like I said, I started with just a voice. And to evolve into a point where you can now associate the voice with something physical, I think is a step forward that, well, I'm just proud to finally do it.
And that's good. That's good, because it basically makes you to come, plus not only that, it brings you out more comfortably into what you want to be more than anything else.
Yeah, and it also, to a degree, it's giving back people who've always been there. Like, now you can say, I know that person, not just I know this name. I know them.
Yep. You know what they look
Which
like,
is-
and you know how they are.
Exactly. You can associate it. The association is to me is key. You can, for example, if I was to meet someone in VRChat, let's say, because I know you very well. If I see you anywhere, I know you by the way you look, the way you sound, not the name.
Mm-hmm.
The name is secondary to me. I know you. You see?
Yeah.
It's more not informal. It's more personalized.
It's more of a personal thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So. No, I got you. And like I said, I assure you on hand, over time or so, you're going to meet a lot of good people on hand. And hey, if you ever want me to introduce you to certain people on hand, I can do my best too. Hell, I can always introduce you to some good friends of mine, because that way you'll be able to get to know them when you get a chance or so. Just so you can have you open on hand to be able to relate to different people, as well as just basically, you know, get a chance to know people on a personal level, which is always good.
You have to introduce him to a Mega at some point. I'd love to play with you and him and like Arthur. That'd be a ton of fun. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, especially, I know it's kind of a little bit hard on you because of what time you got to work, and basically the time I stream or so on like a Friday or so. But we'll find a way.
One of time zones.
We'll find a good way. That's the thing. Good thing on hand. Yes, we're in the bar, Cindy. In the bar on hand. So, I had something down for like any VRC memories on hand for the most part, but I'm gonna ask, do you have any funny memories that come to your mind on hand? It could be streaming related. It could be something that has an aspect in your life that you cannot forget.
I think my first time ever going to TwitchCon, I didn't go to the US ones because the US ones were always too far from me, and I started working after they started being big. I went to Berlin. So I had a couple of friends of mine. They may not be like watchers anymore, but I went to TwitchCon Berlin for the first time. It was the first EU one, and honestly, that to me always stuck out as it's such an incredible place to go to TwitchCon. Not just because like, oh, there's so many people there. No, because everyone there is for the same. You know, they're there for the same reason. They're there to get to know new people and to just have fun. I remember when I went there, they did the first ever like Apex tournament, like live tournament, which was I was in the crowd for that, and that was a hell of a lot of fun. I loved it. But just going to not only abroad to like Germany, but going to an event where everyone was there for some reason, I got to know so many like new people. In fact, I still talk to some of them today. It's definitely an experience that if you never get a chance to go to like any Twitch cons or just any cons in general, go to Twitch. You're there for the same thing everyone else is for. And well, everyone's just, at least the EU one, I'm not run to an NA one, but at least everyone in EU, it's so relaxed. I know, and I've heard things like going to where's TwitchCon US normally situated?
Usually TwitchCon actually it goes into like 3 locations. One being in San Diego, California. One being in Florida. I don't know which area in Florida, and I believe it also goes into somewhere in New York. That's the only 3 I can think of. I've been to the one to San Diego.
Oh.
It was actually my first time flying out to San Diego too, and I got a chance to basically meet everybody I know in person.
How was the one in San Diego?
How's the one in San Diego?
Like in terms of population.
Population-wise?
Was it RAM?
Here's the funny thing. When I went there, it was mostly to go meet everybody I ever knew in VRC, and funny enough, whoever went from VRC only went there to go meet everybody else. They didn't care about the event there. They just went to go see everybody in person, for the most part, and it was a lot of fun. We also basically met in a park that was right next to a Hilton, too, just to be able to like greet and see how everybody is for the most part. And it was a lot of fun because I got a chance to explore around, and see everything.
Yeah.
So
in, like when you went to the San Diego one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. When you went to the San Diego one, like how busy was it?
How busy?
Like, the actual sense was it?
Funny enough.
Yeah, was it like really busy? Like.
Funny enough, as soon as I got off the plane. As soon as I got off the plane with my duffel bag and basically waited for an Uber, and I went to the line, it was okay. It had like many spaces on it from like A, B, C, D, E, just to basically show like the entranceways or so. In order to get like your pass and everything, you had to go down to E. The line stretched from E all the way. It was a good, like, almost half a mile. Good half a mile on hand.
Oh
all
my
the
God.
way to basically Passe, and I was in line. I was basically in line with a good friend of mine, Zeshin. Got a chance to meet Don Taliano, Nocti, and Blue Rose Sin was there. Basically, we sat in line, and basically we just talked it out while basically waiting for the most part, just get to know each other a little bit more. Trust me, it was a long line, because that's how many people who were there for TwitchCon was. So.
I mean, it's my experience of going to the one in the EU was it wasn't as busy. It was okay. Oh,
No, go ahead.
you okay?
Yeah.
It wasn't as busy as the ones that I've seen in San Diego and Florida and such like that. It was fairly well contained. You'd have segments throughout the day. You know, the queues were never that long because it was a large entrance. But it was, at least to me, the EU one felt very informal, which is great. As soon as I walked in, I was at home. It's one of those places where I only went with people who I was staying with, because I didn't know anyone there.
Mm-hmm.
I got to know Nuba. But I don't know if I'd get that same thing going to an American. Maybe because it's just EU, but when I went to Germany, it was like home away from home.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping when I do get to visit the ones in like San Diego and stuff, it'll be the same thing. I mean, I'm fine with crowds.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, I'm fine with them. But there's a point where it gets too busy,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to a place where I'm going to be outside of the venue.
Yeah.
More than I am inside.
Yeah, because it would be too busy
Because
with
I like talking to people.
it'd be too busy with like so many energies on hand because you're just trying to process what's happening a little bit here and there, like kind of like
Yeah.
overload a little
And
bit.
I'd love to meet new people whilst I'm over there, not just see the people who I already know, who I'm already staying in a hotel with anyway.
Hmm.
That's the core for me to TwitchCon is I enjoy seeing and meeting new people. Because it's almost like a networking center as well.
Also, to add a little bit more to it on hand, which Cindy basically said it took him about an hour to get out of the airport in San Diego, because I think it might have been like a really long line,
my
depending on
God.
what day it was he came
Hour?
in. Like I came in on a
Jesus.
Thursday, like a Thursday morning into like a Thursday afternoon to even get there. So
Oh, mine was never that long to get to Germany. In fact, it only took me like 20-30 minutes just to get from the hotel to the venue and then into the venue.
like it took me about like at least a
And I was
good 15 minutes to get to the venue, like from the airport out to the venue.
It takes
So
I mean, granted, the one I went to was, I went down south.
Mhm.
The airport that I went to was in the north, like the northeast. And from there down to the hotel is just an hour in itself.
okay.
Because Berlin's a big area. But to get into the venue itself, just for walking down, was like half an hour. I don't know how long it takes in places, but it wasn't as busy as I expected it to be. Maybe because not a lot of people want to come over. But, I mean, that one was... I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, well there you go. Yeah, as long as you have fun going to a place like that, that's all that matters, no matter what. Just to be able to go there on hand here. And so, let me ask you now. I mentioned about the VRChat scene and everything, but I'm going to ask you about the current present in the sense of basically comparing your time then to when you first started to where you are now. What are some of the things you're glad they changed over time, and what are some of the things, be it like, what are some of the things you're glad they changed over time to some of the things you wish they didn't change at all? Like, it could be security, it could be like a little bit of like depending on trend or so.
I think clarity between the devs and the viewers,
Mhm.
or the users. I don't have much of a say when it comes to how much I missed from the old days to the new days, because I feel, at least from my transition to the newer versions of the game, there's not been that much of a change. My main, and I probably share an opinion with most people, but my main irk is VRChat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know with how their situation is in dev office, is if it's worth to invest the money per month for a flashy badge and a request to invite message or whatever they offer.
The
I don't know where
VRC
those
Plus.
funds go, because it didn't feel like they've used them, if you catch my meaning.
Yeah.
Because the servers. Do you remember New Year, don't you?
Yes, I remember. I was there.
Last year, you remember how painful it was trying to get into VRChat. Just celebrate with your friends. You couldn't. It was down all night. The one time we needed a bit of a release, the biggest time of the year, where everyone would be congregating onto VRChat to, drink and meet up with some friends, you couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. No,
But
no.
they have had this scheme in for duration and even just slightly before the pandemic started. So they could have fun to upgrade it. And I'm pretty certain it was like DDoS attacks and stuff, but they didn't fix it for nearly 2 days, unless it was servers. But that might be my side of how I've seen it.
No, you have the right to basically be upset during that time or so, because not only that, it was like one of the worst years we had to go through 2020. Like it was one of the worst years, and basically I had to get the last laugh in at New Year's Eve. Like, that was a thing. Like, it was a hell of a year for everybody on hand. Not only that, it was just one of those things where, with everybody being in quarantine and basically being indoors, that caused a lot more stress on the VRC devs, because they had to basically increase the server limit as much as they can, to the point where it actually broke it at one point. Where it became even harder to get on, because sometimes your pings goes up to 1,000 or so.
Yeah, precisely. And being a guy from EU and I'm joining NA friends, it gets even higher than that. I can walk into a world, immediately get kicked, because my ping reaches like 700 or something, or even 800.
Jeez, yeah.
And it's, it's not great.
No, it's not great.
But they just need to invest in more nodes around the world. As far as I'm aware, they've only got NA nodes. Like, you've got...
No.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm speculating now.
I don't know either, to be honest with you.
So. As far as I'm aware, they only have American servers.
Yeah.
Wrong, but,
and I wish they could, but... Yeah, I wish they could, but it's just kind of like, we don't know what goes through their minds on exactly what they need until they basically have a clear statement to say it to the people who are invested in VRC, like their main fan base or main community on hand. It's a matter of them communicating it to them more than anything else, and that's on them more than times anything else. So
I mean, I remember when they did the recent dev stream. I was there for that along with other people, and I thought this was great, but I don't know how many they've done of these, because I haven't been that many. But this is good information. Some things are addressed, some things aren't, as natural as a dev stream. But I feel like they can, they physically can do more of them. Like, even if it's just take Warframe, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They do dev streams every week. To the point where you quite literally get to know someone personally on the stream, but they're there every week.
Yeah,
doing these things. There's like 3 or 4 of them, sure. In fact, there's even 2 or 3 of them. But they can do it every week, just saying, this is what's happening. Let's play some of the game. Let's talk to some people. Let's get some interviews. They can do these things, and they can't. Or well, they will. I would like to see them do that, personally, because it would be more of a trust building as opposed to anything.
No, I got you. It would be nice on hand. It's just, I wish I knew what goes through their minds, but at the same time, I can only guesstimate. Just guess and then estimate what it could be. So, but yeah.
Although I'm very happy about the new stuff. Or the new stuff.
Well, funny you should say that. That was my next question on it, saying anything you're looking forward towards what VRC could ask. Yeah, funny enough, you should say that. There we go.
The new on stuff. I am so excited for that. Like, really excited. The things they can do with that now, because it's just fantastic. I've never seen anything like it, and in a game which primarily, forces itself on interpersonal interaction. You can move around the world and you can interact at the same time. It feels more. What's the word?
It just feels more realistic in a way. Maybe.
Yeah, in a sense, more personalizable. Like, you can go into one world. It won't be the same as the last. We've got things that have fundamentally changed. I love that idea. You could affect the world around you just by chatting. I think that's great. Of course, you'll have things in the back end that might cause issues, like potential crashes, but that's something they need to sort out before they integrate into the game itself. But I'm very excited for what they've got.
There you go. I mean, like I said, it'll come when it can for the most part. It's also just the whole cycle of VRC where hopefully they can at least apply an update that does not break another update or so. That's the main thing. It's kind of like the repeated cycle with VRC.
Yeah.
More than anything else. So, hopefully they'll fix it when they get a chance. Let me ask you this. Do you like anime?
I do like anime, yes.
Well, I got a three-part question with you about anime.
But I definitely do.
Well, I got a three-part question for you about anime. So, first question with this is basically, when I say anime, what's the first series that comes to your mind?
First series that comes to my mind, it's got to be Ghost in the Shell. It's not much of an anime, but I love Ghost in the Shell. Standalone complex, the movies, Ghost in the Shell.
There you go.
First thing that comes to mind.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Just because I actually remember watching Ghost in the Shell, and also that intro. It's one of the few songs. It's one of the few songs in the world where basically, the moment you listen to it, you get that automatic chill going down your spine. Like as I talk about this right now, I feel a chill going down my spine because I can just picture in my head how it sounds. Because that's how powerful it is.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. It's iconic. It's like Akira. Or
Cowboy Bebop.
Neon Genesis Evangelion. Or hell, Cowboy Bebop. That's also another one. That's a really, really good one. Cowboy Bebop is that song. If you put it anywhere, they know it.
Yep. Especially those.
Same with
those four notes on hand. Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
It's like, I know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Or you're going through Angel Thesis at the end. It's like, I know that.
There you go. I remember. Yeah. So.
But yeah.
Second part.
I absolutely think.
You go ahead.
Go on.
No. I was gonna ask a second part question to it, but I'll let you finish here. Sorry about that.
No. I was just saying. The first thing that comes to mind is absolutely Ghost in the Shell. I've got some fond memories.
Okay.
Very, very fond.
There you go. There you go, on hand. Second part question I was gonna ask you on hand is if you ever had a top 3, top 5, say animated series on hand or so that would go into that list for you specifically, what would those be?
That's a bit of a hard one. Do these count as movies as well, or?
Yeah, actually, if you want to switch it up where it could be movies too, yeah, you can add movies in there as well.
Oh no, like you've got anime series and anime movies. Stuff
Yeah, they could be put in there too together. Like even if it counts underneath that, banner too, it can.
I think for me my top 3 before I get to the top 5, but my top 3 have to definitely be Ghost in the Shell, but Innocence, the second one. Innocence was a fucking incredible movie. I think after that one, Cowboy Bebop. Third, no, that's a hard one. I have to really think about it. If I had to put a name forward, it would have to be between probably the first anime I watched. Tentatively, because whether or not it's good or bad, it's a fond memory and it's the one that got me into it. It would have to be Elfen Lied.
Elfen Lied. I haven't heard that name in a while. I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah. That's the one that really started getting me into it. Ironically, very gory.
Yeah.
But besides the point, it would definitely. After I watched it, I thought, well, there's a lot more going on to this than apparently the than the anime could capture. So I finished the manga. The manga, incredible. Like, I recommend it. If anyone ever wants to watch that yourself, the manga. There's so much more in there. I think after that one, I'm going to stick with the top 3 for now.
Yeah, that's fine.
I might get back to the top 5, but top 3, absolutely.
Not a problem. Not a problem on hand. And this is where the whole feels will come in with this one. My last question for anime is, what is the series that hit you close to home? Like, when you feel it, you relate to it on a personal level. Like, I feel that too hard.
Bit of a tough one. I've never been one to get hit in the feels by... No, do you know what? Tell you what. The new... what's the name of it? It was in movies recently. Is it Rain? The guy who did Your Name.
Miyazaki?
Yeah, what's his recent one called?
Oh, it's
I
gonna
watched it in
be, it's
cinemas
gonna be,
some friends of mine.
How Did You Live, I think? Or so?
No,
Because I know you're talking Studio Ghibli.
yeah, no, not Studio Ghibli. It was
No, not Studio Ghibli? Okay.
Oh, do you know what I need to do? I need to generally search.
No, go
now.
ahead. Go ahead. Go right ahead. Go ahead. Because I know for a while on my side or so, I've been watching some Studio Ghibli movies, and there's a good portion of it that hits in a very interesting way.
What's your favorite Studio Ghibli one actually?
Favorite Studio Ghibli one?
Because
honestly,
what's your favorite?
Okay, favorite one. I mean, for the recent times we've been doing this, I've been doing like a bunch of movie nights in my Discord or so. We've been watching some Studio Ghibli movies. I'm gonna say, in the interesting way, I always have a soft spot. I always have a soft spot for Spirited Away. Always have a soft spot on it because it's a classic for me.
That was my first Studio Ghibli movie as well. Oh, I need to rewatch it again. But I got the name. It's called Weathering with You, and it's by what's the name of the Makoto Shinkai. Kimi no Nawa. He's I think Weathering with You. When I first watched that in cinemas, I like to think I have a stiff upper lip when it comes to emotional stuff. That one definitely gave me a sucker punch that I really wasn't expecting to get. I knew it was going to be sad because Makoto Shinkai made Your Name, and that is a very heart. It was a very heartstringy movie. I wasn't expecting much from this one. It definitely gave me a curveball, and it definitely fucking gave me some tears. It was a big one. But I think because I've always avoided. It's never been an interest for me to get emotional over things like emotional animes. But there are a few of them that do definitely stick out. I remember Clanad. What's the other one called now? There's a few of them.
No, I get you.
I think that one of recent memory was definitely the one that hit me the most. It was incredible. It was an amazing movie.
No, I got you. I got you, and trust me.
I do need to watch.
Yeah, that could be one of the many things I could just think about watching for a movie night on hand. But it's also one of those things where it's like, there's some stuff that there's classics, and then there's stuff that basically, you're gonna have one of those unexpected feels to it, or so, for the most part.
Yeah, which I think definitely was Weathering with You. There was definitely a really good wind up, but towards the end, it really started to sink in, like the emotional kicks behind the character. And it just, it gets you. It really does get you. Yeah. I think that one was definitely the one that, in recent memory, was the one that hit me the most.
There you go. Yeah, trust me, it'll get you on hand. So, this leads me to my last question on the list here. Let me grab my camera here, because I'm going to bring this to you. Hold on a second. Well, first I got to make sure not to knock over my photo here. I'm going to bring this over here to you, because that way everybody can see you here. And the question I have on hand for you, make sure, oh, that's actually lined up with the mic. My question I have on hand for you for the most part is, what are your goals and dreams? And at best, what is the best advice you can ever give to anybody? I'll let you have the floor for this.
Goals and dreams, a bit of a hard one. I'll start off with some goals, really. When it comes to things like what I want to do with the stream, it's definitely evolve it into making this character become something you can interact with. I want this to be, me. It's a concept currently, but I want this to be myself. Once I can get this into the stream and do things like that, that's the stream goals. I think personally, however, it's a bit more of a different one. I would definitely like to progress further in culinary. Of course, getting a job as a chef, any kind of cook. Because moving from, as we said earlier, from passion to actual professionalism, two very different things. I hope I can meet it halfway as for myself, and then maybe even take bartender work in the meantime, because I have done bartending. It is a lot of fun, especially when you get to know the people.
there's really not many goals. When it comes to goals itself, there's not very much I can really aim to, because I've already got them set in motion. Like cooking, I've already got stuff going for that. I'm doing college nearly 3 times a week. Streaming, I do that 3 times a week. But in moving over to advice, it's well, never let no be an answer to drive you away from your ideas. There are many times people in not only in history but in present day who have really succeeded in terms of compelling odds against them. For example, even content creators, good example. You've had a lot of people who have, in fact, I'll use names as well. You know, Moon OW, you know as well. They started humble beginnings with next to nobody. You know, they started playing Overwatch. Their dad, they explained to this on stream. Their father was completely against it as an idea. Thought it was excuse my French, complete fucking bullshit. It wouldn't amount to anything. And then that one spark, that one little spark in his life, created a community that spans thousands, hundreds of thousands. But because they watch him he's a good guy. I hope that if anyone who's watching or is ever considering the idea of doing something like that, don't take no for an answer, because all it takes is a spark, a little spark, and you can have whatever you want with it. No might be something to help you ground yourself. It's the same with me. I oftentimes say, no, I shouldn't do that something, or no, I shouldn't do this something, but it doesn't mean I ever get rid of the idea. The idea is always there within me. So don't let it stop you at all. If you do, you might be missing out on something that can completely alter your life. I don't really have much else to say, but I definitely...
Yeah, I got you. I was gonna say, that's good sound advice. All I gotta say is that's really good sound advice on hand. Like, let me put it this way, and I'm just gonna share you a little life story from me. Personally, for me, I'm a workaholic. Like, the things I do with streaming and some of the things I do outside of streaming, I'm a workaholic, because when you have a goal and ambition on what you want to do or such, you want to try to work for it. And sometimes you want to let your actions speak louder than your words. Like, at certain points on hand, like, you know, for example, I don't talk much on Twitter too much. The only time I do is when it's something that comes to my mind. I don't have that once in a while because I'm always on the go, what I do. Sometimes I don't sleep much here and there, but I am on the go with what I want to work with here and there. And all I can tell you is, even if somebody ever tells you no, outwork that response. Because I can tell you on hand, if you outwork that response and you show them that you want this, that you want to earn it, then basically that no will turn it into a regret for them. Because they're going to regret for even saying that in the first place. Actions will always speak louder than words, and I promise you on hand, for what you do, what your dreams are, ambitions, goals, desires, if you continue to work on them in your own way, one step at a time, at your own pace, you got this. And not only that, not only do you have this, you've got good people to back you up no matter what. People who are in this chat, they're here to support you no matter what. They're here to care, they care about you, and they care about you as an individual.
It's the same with I understand when it comes to like limiting. You know your abilities better than you do, or better than anyone else. But it shouldn't be an underlying factor. You shouldn't try.
Yeah.
Always try.
Yeah.
A lot of people never try streaming because it's a case of, well, I'm not gonna make it, or you know, it's a case of I'll never get too far with it. It's you shouldn't hold yourself back for something you're interested in doing. It's not fair to yourself, and it's not fair to anyone else who might be interested in what you do.
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, a lot of people like myself started streaming.
Yeah.
I wanted to give something to other people to watch. I like entertaining people. It's a passion for me. I thought it'd be stupid. Now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's the best time of your life. It's so much fun.
And the only time you can ever ask from the only thing you can ever ask from anybody is to try. Just try.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you don't try, you'll never know. And if you do try,
never know.
you
like
will
I said,
know.
it only takes a spark.
Yeah.
A single spark, and
Single
everything
sparks on
changes
hand.
completely.
Single spark on hand. So, before we close out and everything, does anybody have any questions for Akula here? Any questions at all you would like to ask him? So, while they're coming up with questions on hand in chat for the most part, let me ask you this. Akula, where did that name come from?
Yeah. My name? Oh wow, that's a story in itself. So I'll start with humble beginnings, at least to me. My name was actually originally my dad's gamer tag. Back in the day when I was only 11, he used to play a lot of Xbox. With me growing up around him. As this, time changes, it goes on. He had to move away from it to take care of more kids becoming, popping up in the house. He stopped playing Xbox. And over the duration of years that have gone by since he stopped playing, I decided, this is many years ago now, I decided that it would be, I took over his name, essentially.
Okay.
When he stopped playing, I brought it on to playing Xbox 360. Playing Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, stuff like that. That was my name because I didn't know how to change it. I didn't have the money to change it. But as I got older, I realized, more and more, I didn't want to change. I had a bit of, I'm gonna say, God. In fact, it wasn't too long ago when I really started thinking deep about what I've done with it. I'm gonna say 4 or 5 years ago now, 18, 19. Because he doesn't play anymore. It was a case of when I do my games, including streaming, I like to think, he's there with me, like vicariously through me. In a way, carrying on his legacy that he brought me into gaming, I'm going to bring him through gaming. So I've kept his name for upwards of nearly 15 years since I started my beginnings in games. All the way from original Xbox to PC to streaming. It's been my legacy for him in a weird way. I want him to come by and say, with his friends that are all the way from Scotland, if they ever come down to meet him, like, "Oh, do you ever play as Akula class anymore?" I was like, no. My son actually plays as Akula class. And he comes by every now and then. He openly told me a few days ago that, he pops by into the streams that I'm in or that I recommend to people. And he just watches. As his name being views, interacts, makes jokes. It's him, in a sense.
No, I got you.
And a lot of people have genuinely asked me the question of saying, why do you not change it? It's like, if I did that, I'd be losing part of my past, in a sense. This is the name that got me into playing video games. And I don't want to change that. If this is the name that lives on throughout the rest of my life, past him, then it is a direct link. I don't want to lose that.
No, I feel you.
This is both me and his legacy.
Yeah. You want to carry his legacy and his, banter and flag anywhere you go, because you want to see it grow.
He created my personality through his own works. I'm probably the closest to the point where we get mistaken on the phone when there's a phone call. I'm essentially him. I want to bring him through with me.
No, that's noble.
I create a legacy together through video games.
That's very noble. It really is. It really is on hand. Let me see here. From Dark Oxford, how did you end up with a robot butler? Pretty sure they're talking about the avatar you have right now here.
Ah, right, okay. So, the origin behind my ideas behind this character was really just pure preference. I like suits because suits are, swanky. You wear them for any occasion. They can be really smart. They're fashionable.
Yeah, very fashionable.
They're nice. But I've always been a big mech guy. And by not mainly because of 40k, but I've always liked the idea of the combination of suits and robots.
I think the I think the idea first started when I played. Ironically, I actually played Overwatch with a couple of friends of mine, and I was in one of the maps, and I thought to myself, "That is a great concept.
Mhm.
Why have I not thought of that? I like both of those things, and I've never combined them until I saw like you got bartenders who are like hovering suits with a robot head and stuff like that, and they hold things. That's a great idea. What if I gave that personality? What if I gave that life? What if I made that an idea and I combined some ideas together? This helmet being from Blacklight Retribution with some twist, which will be fun.
That's a name I have. That's a game I haven't played in a long time. Blacklight Retribution, Xbox 360.
It's Blacklight Tango Down, Blacklight Retribution. I think Blacklight Retribution was the first game I ever played on PC. It was a free-to-play game, free-to-play FPS.
God.
And I played it religiously when I first started playing on Steam. It was my first game. And then when it got shut down back in, oh god, what was it? Was it 2000 and...
10, 9,
God, when was it shut down? It was nearly...
maybe 11.
Was it 2010? 2011?
I think it might be. I think it may be between 2010, 2011, somewhere in between there.
It was a while ago. And you couldn't find the assets anywhere. Until I found them. Somehow, by complete chance. So I thought, well, now that I've got an opportunity to actually bring this idea into fruition, I'll get a modeler that I know, and get some help from a few friends of mine, to kind of create this idea. Tentative idea, because there are a lot of technical mishaps that I had to go through, such as old file types, converting into new file types, and then doing the, technical shit. To the point where I've had artwork which depicts what I want better than what I want, to where this is just the beta version. There'll be a completely custom head for this. The idea was from Blacklight and just my love for suits and robots. It's really all it was. And I eventually combined them together.
I see. Well, there you go. Works really well on hand there. Works really well on hand for him. From Cindy Supreme, what is your favorite beverage?
My favorite beverage?
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
I don't know. He never specified, so it could be either or.
Yeah,
Could be both, for all we know.
I'll go for one of each. Yeah, both together, Jesus. I think I'll go with non-alcoholic first, because I've always got it's between water and Pepsi, because I can't go wrong with soft drinks. But I've recently been getting into, what's it called now? I'll get back to you in the name on that one, but alcoholic? No, I've got a fair few, because I do like a bit of a drink.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the one that really gets me is a custom one. I go through different YouTube videos of a guy that I know, called, How to Drink. And I'm not sure if you've seen the Golden Girl. Have you seen the Golden Girls?
I've heard of it. I've heard of Golden Girls. I've even heard of it being joked with with Deadpool. Marvel comic book reader.
It is. I watched a bit of it, back in the day with my nan, and he made a video on how to make a rusty nail. So I thought, okay, well, I like a rusty nail, because rusty nails are, they're really tasty. A simple drink, they're building the glass. So I thought I'll try his variation. So it's a rusty anchor, but instead of mainly rye whiskey and other lots of bits and bobs like that, it's made with gin. There's a little bit more fragrant, and I adore it. It is delicious. It is between that one or a Moscow Mule, because everyone likes a Moscow Mule with a proper cup of goblet. Can't beat it.
Nice.
I think one I make for special occasions, which is different of mine, has to be like a dessert book. Also alcoholic, called an FBI. So it is got Bailey's, coffee liqueur, vanilla ice cream, and other bits than that. You shake it in the glass, blitz it together with some crushed ice if you have crushed ice, ice cubes, blitz it, and it's just an alcoholic movie.
Nice. Very nice.
How could you go wrong with that?
Oh, I got you.
It's delicious. I love it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll try
That
now.
actually sounds
Oh, it
nice, to be honest with you. Like,
Oh, if I get a recipe for you, then I'll send it you in DMs.
I mean,
He's great.
yeah, I'll give it a shot when I get a chance. I mean, I will say I haven't really tried too much experimenting on it because I was like a simple person when it comes to like alcoholic drinks. Like, to put it this way, this is a funny thing because it's simple. Basically, if you take Captain Morgan's coconut rum and you take a bottle of Diet Pepsi, if you mix together, it actually makes it taste like vanilla.
Really?
Yeah, it's stupidly weird, but it works hand in hand. Like, it makes you just taste like vanilla. I don't know why. So ever since that happened, it's like, you know what? I think I enjoy Diet Pepsi now because of that.
That's an interesting idea. I've had very little experience when it comes to drinking coconut flavored rum. Of course, outside of Malibu and things like that, I'm not massive on coconut flavor, but I do like vanilla. So that might be one you have
works.
to remind me of after this.
I mean, it's personally for me, it tastes like vanilla. Like for anybody else, depending on what kind of flavor, because everybody's got different kind of flavors depending on what it is. It may taste a little bit different, a little bit. From what I can tell, is it takes like a little bit of like maybe like 1/4 of coconut rum, and then everything else is Diet Pepsi, and then you just mix it together and just bam, there it is. Because if you add too much to it on hand, you'll get more alcohol flavor than you will get Pepsi.
That has been a big issue, at least for me, when it comes to measuring out drinks.
Yes, Sunny Supreme said, my go-to is Crown Maple Vanilla Coke. I call it that the Sunday brunch.
Wait, what was that recipe? What?
It is Crown Maple and Vanilla Coke, called the Sunday brunch.
Crown Maple. Jesus, that's a combination. I'll have to try that if I ever get Crown Maple. I doubt I can over here.
I mean, it depends on where you can find it, but
interesting.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What else were you gonna say on here? Sorry about that.
Oh no, I was just saying if I can find it over here, then I'll try it out.
Okay. Well, there you go. Anybody else got any other questions you would like to ask Akula here for the most part? I will say, what is your go-to? I will say, while everybody's coming up with questions, what is your go-to kind of like game style line? Because I feel like you're mostly like a shooter person, right? First-person shooter.
I'm mainline. I'm a main. Yeah, I'm a big first-person shooter guy. But although I'm big into MMOs. I think as of recently, when you see me pop up on Steam, I'm mainly playing Final Fantasy, which is I've recently been getting back into that thanks to Drewski and Senny and stuff like that.
I still have my.
But
Yeah.
main games, I'm big on it. I'm waiting on the new Battlefield coming out. I'm waiting on the interest to come back to me to play Apex. I'm kind of burnt on that. But Final Fantasy's just been the downtime I needed. It's been great to finally invest in a different game.
There you go. I will say I tell myself I need to find time to get into Final Fantasy XIV because I've actually played Final Fantasy XIV in the past. I just need to find time to be able to get to it because, well, when you're balancing out a lot of things on hand here and there, so it's just kind of hard to kind of like find time for a little bit everybody. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to finally getting hopefully a new RPG 40k because I'm not sure if you've seen. Have you seen Chaos Bane, the new one? Like,
I have Chaos Bane. So is Omega. So is Nocti.
There's another one coming out. With,
there is.
Is it Chaos Bane? Yeah, there's a new one.
New one coming out.
I'll show you after, but
Yeah,
there is a new one.
Not a problem.
It's have you seen the Astartes animation? I'm sure you have. If you know what to say.
Yeah, I believe I have.
He was like the animator was taken up by Games Workshop. And if you watch the teaser trailer for the new game, which is supposed to be like turn-based RPG, similar. Have you played Mechanicus?
Mechanicus? No, I have not got a chance to play Mechanicus on hand. To be honest with you.
It's kind of similar to that, where it's like real-time turn-based, but with greyhounds. And I don't think it's ever been a game with greyhounds.
Interesting. I'll see if I can look into it on hand.
It piqued my interest personally. It does seem really, really cool. But what about you? What are your main games? Because I don't really know.
Main games? Funny enough, as of this moment on hand, like, understand, when I go into VRC, I mostly do this for chilling. I basically just having interviews on it because I enjoy having talks one-on-one with people on hand here and there sometimes. Other times, basically, I'm just chilling with my friends or just basically community in general. Past that, lately, my main game I've been playing a lot lately is Hades.
Hades.
Hades is a
I
fun
really need to start
game.
playing that again. That was.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I
Like-
love it. What's your main weapon? Like,
Main
what's the
weapon?
main
It's
one
the
that-
shield, but my main strat is basically dash strikes because, funny enough, I realized this on hand. Like, when you play Hades, you play with a controller, no matter what. There's people who have played with keyboard, but I recommend doing controller. One thing I've learned is if you have a PS4 controller, funny enough, the strike and dash button are right next to each other. Square is strike, dash is right next to her. So because of that, I can roll my thumb off both of them and actually basically become like almost impossible to hit. Just because, especially if I have like Athena's dash. Because with that, I can actually deflect and do that. So I become almost impossible to hit because I rotate my thumb backwards and forth on both of those things. I've been trying to get into the aspect of Nemesis sword on hand, which combined with Ares and Poseidon, you got basically a pushback with curse. And then I'm actually gonna see if I can try to get into using the spear because I unlocked the aspect of Guan Yu. Trust me, it's a fun game, and
Because I mainly use the. I mainly use the bow. Ironically
bow.
enough, mouse and keyboard as well. Yeah, no, I have had so much progress done with the bow compared to everything else. That and the gauntlets. I love the gauntlets.
you know what's hilarious? That's actually Omega's thing too. He uses the gauntlets and the bow too. That's
that
his
really?
thing. That's his favorite thing too. That's his favorite thing too. So
Yeah, dash striking with the bow, with explosive shots, and like Athena's dash. I cannot die.
like if Athena's dash is broken, that's why I always go for it. You could just basically deflect projectiles and everything. Like you're become unstoppable with it. I do have two more questions here. One from Dark Oxford asking, "What is your favorite and least favorite regional specialist speciality?" I don't know what the proper word would be. Favorite regional speciality, I guess. I'm trying to think what that's supposed to be.
Oh, okay, I know what he means.
He knows what it
means? Like favorite, like you know, when you go to the UK, you've got regional dishes like shepherd's pie, fish and chips, that sort of shit.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I think my favorite regional speciality dish would have to be, well, favorite and least favorite. Do you know what? Actually, I'm going to split this into two parts. When it comes to comfort food, and when it comes to using what you have, because I go to Spain a lot, and when I go to Spain, I use a lot of seafood. But when I go to somewhere like Scotland, I go to Scotland a lot. I use a lot of comfort food, and when I go to Scotland, the one I always go for is stuff like black pudding and haggis. Those two together, my comfort food. I might be alone in that, but I like blood foods.
Yep.
In a weird way, actually delicious. Very, very, very meaty.
No, that's good. That's
But when it comes to different types of specialty foods, is a lot of people will say, "Oh, sushi." No, not sushi. I'm not.
not much of fish
I
fare.
like sushi, but it's not a speciality to me. I don't count it as
I
speciality.
I don't.
When it comes to things like what do you consider is like the most well-known foods that associate to a country? For example, Japan. What's the first food you think of?
What, in Japan or for the most part, or
Yeah, like
I would say the
like I
automatic.
said, favorite food, Japan. Go.
Honestly, I would feel like ramen.
Which is why I don't consider sushi a speciality, because it's not the first thing everyone thinks. But when you go to somewhere like, let's say, for example, Spain, you have paella, you have I forgot what the potato pancakes called.
Oh, potato pancakes.
Yeah, well, you think paella,
Oh, okay.
mainly.
You ever had those fluffy
And
pancakes?
It's stuff like that.
You ever had their fluffy pancakes?
Yes,
the
they
the
are
ridiculous one where you put it in a rice cooker and
insane.
bam, it just expands like crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. I need to learn the recipe. It looks like a shit ton of fun.
Yeah.
I need to try it. It's but I think specialty foods. I definitely think paella, and going to Germany, it's got to be freshly baked bread, like pretzels. Oh my god, you can't. They're in a league of their own.
It's simple, but my god, you will never find anything like it.
I see. Jeez. I mean, I've had like baked pretzels. I even had like the the weird specialty over here is basically baked pretzels. Like if you can find some just like baked pretzels, like the bread kind, and basically you can actually dip it if it's salted, you dip it in nacho cheese. Like it's a weird thing for like baseball parks and everything. Yeah, because salty and cheese works together hand in hand. It's weird.
In fact, I yet to visit the US. I've trips planned. Hopefully next year they start.
I mean,
but I think the main. I really want to try a churro.
A churro? Oh.
Like a baseball game churro.
I feel like the best time you ever want to find good churros is you got to go to Texas to get those. They specifically make good churros.
I have had so many people
Authentic
told
ones.
me to go to Texas for authentic churros.
Yeah, authentic.
And I can't say I disagree, because I'm going to be taking a trip to Texas eventually. Going to go to New Jersey, then Tennessee, and then Texas. Those are the 3 places.
Yep.
Mainly. Then maybe San Diego, depending if I really want to spend the money to go to it. But it depends.
It all depends on hand.
For the specialty foods, like I said, I think it's definitely got to be paella or freshly baked pretzels from Germany. Comfort food, favorite's got to be haggis.
Haggis. Okay. I got you. I mean, everybody's got like a different kind of comfort food over here in America because depending on what you want to work with on here. Like, I just share a little bit.
I think the hardest part of doing cooking would have to be like is finding what people enjoy the most, because some people have variations of the favorite.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you can have. I always think of it as specialties like donut. You have one donut which is like just basic glazed. You have another donut which is like sprinkles on top, hundreds of thousands. And then you've got someone else who likes the same kind of donut, but they have it with salted caramel on top. You have all the same foods, but different regional ways to do it. And that's the hardest part about balancing a specialty food. Is if you go, like, for example, haggis. If you go to North Scotland, towards the Shetland Isles, or hell, even towards, like, Edinburgh, the recipe for haggis drastically changes. It's not just the difference in meats and
sheep,
oats they put in. It's the different spices, and it creates 2 very different but distinct types of haggis. And the further up you go, they change it. You know, it's the hardest thing about specialities is they are so customizable, but they're so well known.
Oh yeah.
So you're never going to really find the best of one.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like the best way I could compare that is basically from over here. It's like steak. Like, you're gonna have like different kinds of things of like different steaks on hand. Some people like it in a different kind of like, KC, Kansas City style. Some people like it in a different kind of like, Texas kind of style on hand. Sometimes there may be some specific ones on hand that you work with on, like, could be like some way Florida or just kind of like New York strip kind of style. Like, everything's kind of like a different style on hand, but it's kind of hard to figure out how to work it because sometimes, depending on where you are, you might not have the exact kind of spices for it or how to know the familiarity of how to cook it, So it's a little bit of everything.
But I'm going to forward that question to you, but how do you like your steaks?
How do I like my steak?
What is your steak?
My steak for me, perfectly for my steak, it's... For me, personally, like, I like a normal, just like a medium steak for me. I don't really have a specific kind of style to it because to me, steak is just steak. Like, if it's grilled, if it's just basically something I could eat with alongside a potato on hand, I'm eating it. I'm not too picky with food. I really am not.
What about sides? Do you have it with sauce or do you not? No sauce?
Oh, I usually have like a little bit of A sauce, like A1 sauce with it.
Portobello mushroom or something?
I basically have like a little bit of like, say, I usually go for like A1 sauce with mine, and then basically I'll have like a side of potato. Basically potatoes with like either sour cream or butter, depending on what they give me an offer on hand. And then usually it's either just 2 potatoes and then a steak, and then I'm good. I don't really have any specific kind of different sides for the most part. I'm a simple person.
I do not know what A1 sauce is.
A1, it's basically it's a certain kind of steak sauce over here that is used. Sometimes people may use like a different one, like KC barbecue sauce, or basically a different kind of like Texas sauce or so. For me, I usually use A1 because it's just a classic, and plus it actually, when you basically drop a little bit on it, you can actually spread it and it just works fine for me. I'm used to A1 growing up for the most part.
All right, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, used to it growing up for it. I do have a question from Cool One Nate. Question he's asking: is there any game you title as best game in the world, and why? If you've ever had a...
Oh, that is a hard one. I never give something the best game in the world because I personally don't like being stale with ideas of what I consider the best game. But I definitely have I've got my tops. I will openly say, but no best game in the world. Maybe best series, if that counts. Or
Yep.
But I would say that the best, in my opinion, the game I would say would definitely be, best, or one I enjoy probably the most, would have to be going back to... Oh, when no, it was all the way back in... Anyway, Ghost Recon...
Oh, Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon 2.
Ghost Recon, okay.
I think the old school Ghost Recon games. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six Siege, that's big, but the old Ghost Recon games have always had a special place in my heart. The same with the old Splinter Cell games and the old... I might just be a bit of a nostalgia Ubisoft fan, but old Splinter Cell, old Ghost Recon, even the old Rainbow Six. I miss Vegas too. That was fantastic.
Yes, it was. I played it on hand.
But they don't do anything with the IP like that anymore.
Yeah, it's like
they terrorist hunt like the old school times.
I think originally it was supposed to be like a New Vegas 3, but then it got turned into a Siege.
And it's just not the same.
So
I like the idea that they've made it like a PvP sort of competitive scene game, but I miss doing co-op terrorist hunt with my buddies. Just to fuck around.
Yeah.
Because I do it in Insurgency SAS, which is basically just Rainbow Six Siege with a bit more.
It'd be great, and I just wish this was a thing where basically, I wish they would have brought the idea back to Siege, where basically, especially with the recruit, you can actually face scan. Because in the Rainbow Six, like New Vegas, you had the ability to scan your face and put it on your operative.
Oh my
and
God,
I wanted to see that on hand where you could actually do that, or put a picture on the operative on hand, because that would be fantastic.
I would be the fastest person to upload Ainsley Harriet's face.
There you go.
On my character. It will. That's a great idea.
Because that would be great just for gags and memes on hand. Because how would you expect this? Basically, you go around a corner and you just see like some sort of like I don't know, like some sort of face you didn't expect to see on hand, like something that would just basically make you laugh from the moment you look at it. If you could catch somebody off guard, it's perfect.
Corner, suddenly you get your shit rolled by Sledge, who's got a face that has Shrek on it. I would lose it.
Somebody somewhere's gonna put like an anime girl's face on it with Sledge's face.
Matches as well. Yeah. Oh God, you're taking me back now.
Yeah, that would be great
with the old face scanning.
But I don't see any other questions on hand, to be honest with you, from what I could find at the moment. So I will say for right now, I will say for right now, that'll be episode, well, if the bar doesn't screw me over, that'll be episode 48 of Shoot the Breeze.